Okay, guys. So as I was saying, this week you guys started off with um set notation. What is set notation? All right, and basically what happens here in set notation is that okay, you guys can't see that. I think I'm writing on the wrong one. First. Okay, sorry, I was writing on the wrong one. So as I was saying, you guys started off with set notation this week, and basically, you guys were talking about three different ones. And what I want to do right now is to just clarify what those three are and how you can differentiate between them. Right? So, um, what are these three? What were the three set notations that you guys talked about this week? Anybody
Set
remembers?
set builder
Set
means
builder,
raster
roster,
notation
and semantic.
and semantic and non-semantic.
You have roster form or roster notation. You have the semantic one, and you also have the set builder. Now, out of these three, the most difficult is the set builder notation. And we just want to clarify, we're going to do that right now, how we can do that. How can we come across doing that? You have roster form, the semantic notation, and then you have the set builder notation. So these are the three things. And we're going to start off with the first one, which is the semantic notation. Now, semantic notation is the most simplest one because that is the one that we have been talking about and we're working with from since we started this last week with sets. It's basically you just listing the elements and putting it in. Miss, it's not semantic. Yes, yes. Sorry. Mm, semantic notation. There you go. Thank you for that. Now, talking about this notation now, it's just you guys giving the set a name, including the curly parentheses, and then listing the elements that are in there. Wherever it is that you see a set that is set up in this way, it is always going to be semantic notation, right? So if I have the curly brackets, I have the elements listed, and this set has a name, then it is semantic notation. Now, what happens if no name is given? Then no longer it is semantic notation. It is just a list of elements where it's no longer falls under the semantic notation. What about if it didn't have curly brackets and it just was A equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? It is not the semantic notation. For it to be semantic notation, it has to have a name, it has to have the curly parentheses, and it has to have the elements inside of the set. These three things. And once it has these three things, then it is the semantic notation. All right? So this was the first one. And this one is very direct because it's easy to identify. And if you take a look at your assignments for this week, then none of them basically ask you for semantic notation because it's the easiest one to be able to identify. So let's move on to the other one, which is roster notation or roster form. Now, raster form is basically using words. You're using a sentence, and this is gonna describe what this set has. So we no longer want to see the numbers, the words, the elements. You don't want to see that anymore. You just want a phrase or a sentence that describes what the set is giving you. All right. Okay, Ryan, if you have sent your work, that's very good. Then you can just keep track when we're doing the activities right now. So if I were to give you guys set A is equal to 2, 4, 6, and the ellipsis or the three dots. Those three dots means that this set continues and continues and continues, right? Does not end. It's an infinite set. So if you see those elements and you see 2, 4, 6, what are you thinking about when you see those numbers?
Even number.
They're even numbers. Very good. What else can you tell me about those numbers?
What's the pattern?
It's a pattern, okay? Very good. We're remembering what we learned in Unit 1. When we want, and they could give you any set, right? This is just an example. If I give you this and I tell you write this semantic form set into raster form, then you have to give me back a sentence. You have to tell me what is this set showing. So if I have this set, A equals to 2, 4, 6, and it continues, I know that they are even numbers. So that could be one way that I can write it. And then I'm going to put these in the chat, right? Because it's going to be too long for me to write them in there. And when I'm writing something in raster form, I want to be specific. So I'm going to say set A contains um, all the even numbers. That's one way that I can put it. I can put set A um, is the set of all even numbers. I am saying the same thing in different words. Let's say that I don't want to use the word even numbers, but I can use something else that means the same thing. I can say that set A is the set of all the multiples of 2. And I'm still saying the same thing. I'm talking about the same group of numbers. So you see, I have three different ways that I can write this set into words, and all of these three different ways are correct. Anybody has any questions? Now, what is important in raster form? You need to say in the sentence, in the word, or in the phrase, you need to give the name of the set. Like if you look at the sentences that I have in the chat, all of them say set A contains, set A is, set A is. So if you have set W, you start with set W. You have B, you start with set B. Right? You have to say the name of the set. And then you tell me what that set has. What does it have? Right? And then you say the elements. Describe the elements. So let's try another one like this. If I give you that B is equal to 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. That set. And I want you guys to write that set in raster form. What are those numbers? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. What are those numbers?
Add.
They're odd numbers. Very good. But are they all the odd numbers? Is that set showing all of the odd numbers?
Comments.
It's only it's only showing some of them, right? But which ones?
From 1 to 9.
From 1 to 9? Okay. Okay, so let's try that. Set B is the set of odd numbers from 1 to 9.
Or prime number.
If we say prime numbers, I need to make sure that all of the prime numbers, all of those numbers are prime numbers.
No, because one is not a prime number.
One is not a prime number and nine is not a prime number. Nine is composite. So then that description won't work. But we can work with the odd numbers. And I have one example in the chat that Gerald said. Set B is a set of odd numbers from 1 to 9. But I can also put set B is the set of odd numbers that are less than 10. And it's still talking about the same group of numbers. I could say it a different way, and I could say set B is the set of odd numbers between 0 and 10. And I'm talking about the same group of numbers here. Because if I read those sentences and I list the number for each one of those sentences, I'm going to get that same group that is being showed there 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Anybody has any questions? No questions, guys?
No, miss.
Okay. So now let's go to the last one. And the last one is what we call the set builder notation. Now, what is set builder notation? Set builder notation is the same thing where you have to give the set a name, you have to use your curly brackets, but we use either, and it could be any letter, right? But in most cases, usually in math, we use the letter X. We use a letter to represent the numbers that are inside of the set. So in this case, we can use X, you could use S, you could use A, you could use any letter that you want. But in math, they prefer to use the letter X. When you're talking about algebra, solve for X. So X is one of the most common letters to use. So as I was saying, set builder notation has the name of the set, which is the A, the curly brackets, it has the X. Now, this first X represents each element in the set. So if the set has five numbers or five things in there, each of those is going to be the X, right? And then I put a colon. I could use the colon or I could use the line, whichever one. Well, both of them are correct, right? Whichever one that you want to use, both of them will be correct, but don't use both of them together. You either use the colon or you use the bar. And then I'm going to put the X again. Now, why do I put the X again? The first X is just telling me I'm going to talk about everything inside of the set. But the second time that I put the X, that is where I'm going to describe what is inside of this set. So when I read this, I'm going to read that set A has elements X, where each element of X is blah, 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 whatever you want to say about that set, right? So, and I see that Ryan has it in the chat. So then that will be how I would set up the beginning. And each time that I'm going to write set builder notation, this beginning is going to always be the same. Always have the same beginning. This beginning does not change because you're telling me that the first X is the elements and the second X is where my description is going to start. Now, how you write the rest of it now, it depends on what the question is giving you. All right? So let's take a look at one example. Let's say that I give you guys set C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I want you to write this set in set builder notation. First, you have to think about what kinds of numbers do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What are these numbers? What kind of numbers? All right, let's do the waterfall. You guys missed the waterfall. Let's do this one, and then I'll give you guys one to do with the waterfall, and then we'll start the activity, right? So look at this set, and I want you guys to tell me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What kind of number? And that is a keyword. What kind of number are these? Are these integers, whole numbers, rational, irrational, natural? What kind of numbers are these? Anybody has any ideas? Nadie, nobody.
What was your question, Miss?
If you take a look at
Oh
the,
no,
okay, they are whole numbers, but there is another kind of number that would describe them even better than the word whole numbers.
natural numbers.
Natural numbers, very good.
Me
We want
ganaron, Miss.
when you guys and this would be the trick. When you guys have a set that just has regular numbers, then I always assume that they're talking about natural numbers. If they give you 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, your first option is saying natural numbers. Don't think about anything else. I always try to say natural numbers. The only way that you would use whole numbers is if there was a zero there, and if the set has a zero. If the set doesn't have a zero, stick to natural numbers and always say natural numbers. Right? So natural numbers. If it has negatives, then you say integers. If it has a zero, you say whole numbers. If it doesn't have any of those, stick to natural numbers. Natural numbers will always try to make that your first option always. All right? So, I have one answer in the chat, and before I say if that is right or wrong or maybe or close, let's take a look at this one that we're working with, right? So, these are natural numbers. Now, which natural numbers? From where to where? Are they all the natural numbers? Are they half of the natural numbers?
1 to 5, Miss.
The natural numbers from 1 to 5. Very good. So, they're just as how in raster form there were different ways of writing the same thing, there are different ways of writing this one. All right, and we're going to take a look at the different ways right now. So, as I said, we're going to use set C, my curly brackets, x, x, and then now we're gonna write what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is. So the first thing that I'm gonna write is that I'm gonna put that x um, are natural numbers. All the elements in this set are natural numbers, and I'm writing this in symbol form. Symbol form is one way, and I can write it in words, whichever one is easy, but we're gonna do the symbol one first. What I did just now, the E is telling me elements of. It is a part of this set, and the capital N is representing natural numbers. So each element in this set is a natural number. And then I'm going to put a comma because there is more to that. It's not just natural numbers, and it's not all the natural numbers. It's only some of them. And that's why I'm going to put a comma, because there is something else that I need to write. And I'm going to write that x, one moment. Okay. X is a natural number, but as well, there are only five of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how can I write something else that just says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or makes it understandable that I'm just talking about five of them? What symbol in math can I use to do that?
-6, like a minus and then a 6 miss. That for me it means less than 6.
But there is a symbol that means less than 6. A minus is minus. It's like if I put -6, you're telling me, okay, I will -6 every time. Le voy a quitar 6, le voy a quitar otra 6, le voy a quitar otra 6. Is that what you're saying? Less than 6. It's not -6. -6 is me subtracting. I have 1, okay, I'm going to -6. I have 2, okay, I'm going to -6. That's what that was saying. Okay, and I see the symbols in the chat. Very good. So what I'm going to write now is I'm going to write X again, and I'm going to write less than 6. And there you go. I have the set builder notation. This is only one way. This is not the only answer. Clearing that up one time. It's only one way of writing this, right? So this is one way. Let's take a look at another way. And this one I'm going to put it in the chat because it's more words. I am going to be writing the same thing. Um, and I have that C is equal to X, my curly brackets, X, the colon, the X. And I'm going to put is a natural number less than 6. And then I'm going to put my curly brackets. I don't find my curly brackets in my keyboard. Okay, I found it, but I already sent it. Anyways, curly brackets. There you go. So then that would be how we would write it in Word. Another way. So what I have there on the screen and what I have in the chat is the same thing. Same exact thing. Different ways of doing the same thing. But that's not the only way of doing it. There could be many, many other ways, but we don't want to get too complex in the way that we're writing our numbers. All right? So let me go ahead and let me put another way just so that you guys could understand what is happening. I'm going to put X colon X um, is a natural number, comma, X. I would have 0 and greater. And then I put another way in the chat. Take a look at that way. It's saying the same thing. It's saying that X, all of the elements are natural numbers, but the second part where it has 0 less than X less than 6, that is saying that I want the numbers that are in between 0 and 6. That is how I write in between 0 and 6. Right? It's another way of doing the same thing. Anybody has any questions?
It's the same thing that
It's the same thing. Nothing changed. Exact same thing. Right? And then I could write that in words as well, and I have a different way of doing it. All right? So when you guys are doing these homeworks, so many answers can come up, but all of these answers are going to be the same thing. Okay. Let me find the activities. So let's work with the first activity, right? So if you have, let me go to another slide. The first question is A is equal to A, E, I, O, U. 155. Okay, we're gonna finish at 240, okay? So whatever we do by 240, then that will be it. I'm not gonna keep you guys after that. Or do you have another class?
Okay.
So then 2:40
Elect.
elective. Okay, let's finish at 2:30. So 8 more minutes. Is that okay with everyone? Because then I will be teaching you guys tomorrow. So we will
Yes,
continue with this
miss.
tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay, man.
So it's AEIOU, and the instruction says students will write the following in descriptive notation. Very very easy. What is this set showing? Anybody? What is the set showing? What is AEIOU?
For you. Vowel.
Vowel.
The
Very
vowel in the
good.
English alphabet.
The list of the vowels.
So when I write it in a descriptive form, I'm gonna write that set A is the set of all the vowels. That's one way. I could write set A is the list of vowels in the alphabet. Al- alphabet. That is another way. I'm saying the same thing, but I'm saying it in different words. Both of them are correct. You only choose one. Set A is the list of vowels in the English alphabet. Very good, Gerald. That is another way of saying it. All of them are correct, right? Because we're only describing, we are saying what the set has. Let's look at the other one. The other one is B is equal to 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. What are those?
The set of odd numbers starting from 1.
The set of odd numbers starting from 1 and ending where?
Starting
11.
to 11.
11.
Okay, so let's see. This is set B is the set of odd numbers from 1 to 11. I could also say set B is the set of positive odd numbers less than 12. I could also say set B is the set of odd numbers between 0 and 12. And all of them are saying the same thing. All of them are talking about the same group of numbers. Any questions, guys?
No, miss.
Numbers.
Are you guys understanding? Is it clear?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay.
Yes, miss.
So let's look at I think we can finish the first part. Let's look at C. C says you have 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. What is this set showing? And you guys have seen this set of numbers before.
The set square root, miss.
Not square roots. You're close, close. But the word roots is not correct. Set C
The
is
set of multiples starting from 1. The multiples of the same number.
Miss,
okay.
miss said the word
That
square
1
root.
times 1 equals 1. 2 times 2 equals 4. 3 times
They
3
are
equals 8.
not square roots though. They are square numbers, not square roots. Square root is something else. All right? Like if I find the square root of 4, it is 2. But here they are talking about the square numbers. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16 and 5 times 5 is 25. Those are square numbers.
Irrational.
So, no, they're not irrational. They're not irrational. Casi me dan un heart attack ahorita. Set C is the set of the first five square numbers. There you go. Okay, I see Ryan has a response in the chat. Very good, Ryan. That is another way of saying it. Set C is the set of the first five square numbers. I could write set C is the set of positive square numbers less than 30. I'm talking about the same group of numbers. I could write set C is the set of square numbers between 0 and 30, or any number, 26, 27, 28, any of those numbers could have worked. I could write set C is the set of square numbers from 1 to 25. Four different ways of saying the exact same thing, and any of those will be correct, right? Yes? Yes, guys? Yes, guys?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay, now take a look at number 4. Let me share this one. Number 4, look at this. It says P is equal to X, the elements X, where X is a letter in the word set theory. How am I going to write that in descriptive form? I'm going to write the exact same thing that it says. I'm going to write that set P is the set of letters in the word set theory. Exact same thing. I don't have to change anything. The exact same thing that the question is giving me, that is what I'm going to write. Yes? Everybody got that one? Everybody understood that
Miss,
one?
what do you mean? So you not put no brackets or nothing?
No. When we are writing descriptive form or in raster form, we only want the sentence. That's all we want. Right? For only raster form though. If you are talking about semantic form or you are talking about set builder, then yes, we have to write the brackets. But for this part, they're only asking you for the descriptive form. So they're only telling you write something that describes the set. So you write the sentence. Yes?
Okay, miss, I don't understand it.
Yes, miss.
Okay. And then for the last one, it gives you the description right in the set builder. So I can go ahead and write that same exact thing. I don't even have to change anything. Set Q is the set of prime numbers between 10 and 20. And I have my description. If you want to write it in a different way, you guys can go ahead and write it in a different way. But you can use what the set builder is giving you. Yes? Questions, guys?
No, miss.
Okay. So that will be it for this class, guys. Tomorrow we're gonna continue with the rest of the activities, and then I'm gonna have something prepared for you guys to do as well. All right?
Miss, and tomorrow we will have extra class.
No, extra class only today. I'm gonna schedule an extra class, and then I'm gonna post the link so every week we can have an extra class on Wednesday. All right, and then I will just post it there. Gerald, do you have a question?
Yes, miss. Tomorrow we're gonna talk about the next activity too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you guys have already done it, um, if you guys have already done it, then you guys can just cross check your answers to see if it's correct. All right. But that
We
would
do
be
have
it.
electric today, miss.
You mean if I will be having elective with my students?
Uh-huh.
No,
With me.
No, I will send the recordings today because the laptop where I had my recording, where I do the program, that just crashed and I had to send it to get fixed. So that's why I
Miss,
haven't.
if
Miss, I will
what
not
do you
have
think
electives,
is
Miss Mato.